Awesome, cool. Okay, so in today's episode, thank you for joining us, everybody. Today we're going to be addressing the latest rumors of an Indiana Jones reboot, and maybe we might dive into reboots and remakes in general, but our main focus is going to be on whether or not the Indiana Jones franchise should be rebooted, whether by Disney or by anybody else. So, and by the way, I would really love to do a video just on the Indiana Jones franchise, and not so much talking about rebooting it, but just that'd be a pretty cool. But what are your thoughts a on an Indiana Jones reboot? Should that happen, or should the franchise just be left alone?
All yours.
Well, I mean, granted, I personally love the Indiana Jones trilogy. It is a trilogy. It'll always be a trilogy to me. I don't know what you're talking about, this trilogy. But I grew up watching these movies. I loved the concept, and Harrison Ford, which was and still is incredible. But, at the same time, I understand that, like the trope that Indiana Jones is very much based on is admittedly a little bit dated, especially by today's standards, and it can, to an extent, some of the stuff that concepts and themes that it explores can be considered potentially culturally problematic if you don't know if you don't know what you're doing. The savage tribe quote, like, Temple of Doom. But I mean, it's that the concept as a whole is ripe for perpetual ideas. I mean, come on, we had like the Hardy Boys for God knows how long, and stuff like detective sort of storyline. You basically just put a cool hat and put the detective in the jungle, and that's basically what Indiana Jones is. And along the way, you have all these additional subplots and side plots. But I mean, also you have to ask yourself, what makes Indiana Jones so good? Is it the story itself? Is it all Harrison Ford's performance? Is it in the screenwriting? Is it in the scenery? You have to ask yourself a lot of that stuff, and how much of that stuff do you believe could be either redone by, say, a new talent? Could there be a new younger actor or actress that could emulate the charisma and just the likability of Harrison Ford's character? It's a lot of stuff, but it can be done. However, I don't know. I'm not quite sure if we could really tag, the Indiana Jones name to it, because I feel at this point, at least, Dr. Henry Indiana Jones, that I feel that character as a whole might be, tied up with Mr. Ford. I don't know. What do you think, Pierce?
It's a tough one. I've heard a lot of people say in the wake of all these rumors that you can't do it because Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford. And I understand why people would say that, because it is so tied up with him, and he is the only actor to play him on screen. Granted, there was the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles back in the early 90s, mid 90s, but
Yes.
I don't know how big of an audience that had. So I do think that in the public eye, Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, but who's to say that that's set in stone? I do think that you can always get someone else to play him, and it can be done well. It's just really difficult. And you don't really know what you're getting into until you see it.
And is it a matter of, is Disney willing to spend the time and money and resources to finding a good successor, or do you think that they're just going to try to use just the brand name alone to try to pull it along, a la Ghostbusters 2016?
They certainly have the ability to put that love and care into it, and I think that they know they have to, because Indiana Jones is so beloved.
Yeah, They've definitely put a lot of love in, and they have the potential to, pay these franchises the respect they deserve. See Mandalorian for, it's the first two seasons, and like Andor, they
Yeah,
have the time and resources to put the love and care that these franchises deserve. It's just a matter of will they?
that is the real question. And I mean, a lot of because most of what they've done for Lucasfilm properties lately has been series rather than movies. There have been some that people really love, there's some that are more divisive, and the common thread that I see is that the people working on them, they're trying their best. It's just you don't know what you're going to get until you're deep into it, and maybe it's not working by the time that it's too late to course correct.
Mm-hmm. That's how you ended up with the sequel trilogy. Like
Yeah.
again, it comes down to the putting in the effort to have a cohesive story from the get go. Like with stuff like, and I know that everybody likes to talk smack about George Lucas, but at the end of the day, he had a vision. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. Granted, he did have an army of producers and directors that kept him in line. And whenever he tried to, be a little screwy and try to push something that was a little nutty, these guys were there to be like, maybe don't do that, George. Maybe don't. I mean, hell, his own wife was in the editing room and made a lot of crucial decisions that made Star Wars turn out the way it did.
Yeah, and you saw that process short circuit by the time the prequels rolled around because
Mm-hmm.
nobody could check him. They didn't feel like they could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you both have made some really good points and some points that I hadn't thought of thinking about whether or not the Indiana Jones franchise should be rebooted. But yeah, I think there's like a bar that Harrison Ford has set
For
that
sure.
if you were to recast, you're going to you're gonna have some expectations for that new actor. You're gonna be comparing him to Harrison Ford, and I think that's gonna be hard to do. You're just automatically, like you said. I think you said, Pierce, that Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford. So
As of right now, that could
right as of right
change,
now,
but we don't really have precedent for it.
and then
Exactly.
kind of like going off of what you said, Brandon. Is this an actor who can pull off uh, Indiana Jones? Is the story compelling? I think those are all elements that you do have to really balance out because maybe you could have a story that's not really interesting, but you're gonna want to watch it because of the actor's performance.
Of course.
But if you don't have, or if you have an actor that's maybe not a strong actor, but the story is interesting, then you might be willing to sit through the movie to see what's going to happen.
Of
But
course.
especially, with the first three Indiana Jones movies, we had, a great actor in Harrison Ford and really great stories for each of the films. Now, Harrison Ford came back for Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny, and he did a great job. And I know that not a lot of people were fond of either of the movies, but people came back to see Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. But would they be willing to come back to see a different actor, even if the story's compelling? And one of the things that I have also heard people mention, or certain individuals, is that, and everybody's going to have their own opinion on this, is that modern Disney has destroyed the properties they've gotten a hold of, whether it's Star Wars or Marvel. So people are going to have that mindset going into new Indiana Jones, and I think they already have that based on some of the few videos that I have seen in discussion of a reboot, that they don't want to see uh, Disney take Indiana Jones and turn it into something with a quote girl boss or any kind of agendas. I mean, like I said, people are going to have different opinions on this, but that seems to be one of the bigger ones that has been going around.
I wouldn't exactly call it like Disney ruining it. I would or Disney ruins their movies. I would say anything that gets hand taken over by at this point, anything that gets taken over by Disney becomes it definitely becomes corporatized. It becomes polished. Like it becomes I don't want to say destroyed, but it's becomes safe, you know. Because if there's one thing that we can all agree on is that Disney all for them nowadays, modern Disney always plays things safe. They want to make sure that it's good for appealing to everyone basically. And that's not a bad thing. Like it's inherently not a bad thing, but when you start paying attention to metrics and whether or not this will be likable rather than trying to pay attention to wanting to tell a good story and trying to flush things like tie things together and coherently, then that's how you end up with half-assed films like that. That's how you end up with Morbius. Like
Not Disney, but I see
well,
what
yeah,
you
not
mean.
Disney, but the same thing.
Generally speaking.
And I personally believe that I believe the public if it were to happen, if Indiana Jones were to be recast, there's a pretty decent chance the public will accept a new Indiana Jones as long as whoever does the recasting does their research and really knows what they're doing and knows the franchise and tries to put the love and heart into it. How do I know this? 2 words: James Bond. How many James Bonds have there been throughout the last 30, 40 years of the franchise? Everyone, and the thing is, everyone has, or Doctor Who, everyone has a favorite Doctor. Everyone has a favorite James Bond. Personally, I love, as much as I love Sean Connery, I'm a Pierce Brosnan fan because I grew up with him in his movies. I love GoldenEye. It's one of my favorites.
GoldenEye is one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
And
disagree.
yeah, so but the thing is, the film, the people, the directors of the James Bond series, they all worked with each other. Like the person that made GoldenEye, reached out to whoever did, Diamonds Are Forever and a bunch of or Die Another Day or some of the other filmmakers. They talked to each other. They were like. And they also reached out to the estate for Ian Fleming, who owns the rights to the character James Bond, and they're like, they have there's basically a I don't want to James Bond Bible basically. That's what most franchises have nowadays is what's called a Bible, which is basically a giant booklet, whether physical or digital, of all the lore and all the information about this universe that this franchise takes place in. And everything that a new film has to go through, it has to check all the check marks of that said Bible for, like, say, the character of James Bond. Obviously, James Bond is charismatic. Obviously, James Bond survives. Obviously, James Bond might go through a hard time, and also James Bond is good with the ladies. If you can check those boxes, then you have you have character consistency. So no doubt there is an Indiana Jones Bible out there deep in the Disney vaults, the Disney archives. And there was also I know for sure there's a Star Wars Bible out there too. It's just a matter of whether or not whoever is the next to take the reins of Indiana Jones follows through. Actually, like, we have everyone talks about Dave Filoni when it comes to Star Wars, and like Dave Filoni truly he's a nerd. He knows what he's doing with Star Wars. And almost all of the projects that he has headed have been incredibly successful. You had under Filoni, you had the Clone Wars. You had in working with Jon Favreau is how we got the Mandalorian. So it's just a matter of really, you have to you want something good, you want something to work. You have to put the time and resources into it. You can't just feed it into an algorithm machine and pump something out that everyone will like.
Well, I think one thing that needs to change with Lucasfilm, because I actually don't blame Disney for the subpar quality of some of what Lucasfilm's been putting out. It's on them, really. I mean, you compare it to Marvel, which, of course, there have been some lesser Marvel films recently, but it hasn't seen anything like the drop off in fan response that Star Wars has. It, Andor and the earlier seasons of Mandalorian aside. But I think that Lucasfilm, I would like to see them clean house of the executives at the film division. You know, or live action film and TV, I should say.
Yeah.
Animation, they're doing great. Games, comics, books, all that's fine. But I think that everyone at the top of the live action film and TV division needs to go. And unfortunately, for some people, that includes Filoni. I think that while Filoni has been successful with a lot of his work, he does have a certain sensibility, and I don't think that if he were in charge of Lucasfilm, we would get stuff like Andor that is critically acclaimed. Most fans love it. I think it would be more samey, and I don't know if he would want to do anything other than Star Wars.
That's a very good point. Like,
Yeah.
and I guess that with the difference between, you know, something like Star Wars versus Marvel, like, yeah, both have seen a bit of a, both franchises have seen a bit of a drop in terms of fans. I believe though for Marvel, the problem they were dealing with was just oversaturation. There was just too many. I mean, I can't speak for it personally because I'm not. Shocker, I'm not a Marvel fan. Don't come for me, guys. But I've seen I have several friends that are diehard like MCU fans, and even they tell me that like it's really hard to follow because there's something new that's almost always coming out, and in order to see, like, for example, in order to properly understand one of the films, you have to have seen, WandaVision, or you have to have seen the Loki series to understand what's going on. Like, where do these characters come from? Or something like Madam Web, or some of these other films. And a lot of my friends are kind of experiencing a little bit of burnout right now in terms of, superhero movies right now, just because they've been going for so long. But with Star Wars, I feel the issue is just I feel it's inconsistent storytelling. It's almost inconsistent writing, and everyone, like, there's just not, they don't seem to have a good direction, Lucasfilm, of where they want to go right now with the franchise. Do they want to stay in the New Republic? Do they want to go back to the Old Republic? Do they, like, I know a million Star Wars fans that want to see more Old Republic films, stuff like from Revan and that kind of stuff. And then there's still a bunch of folks that, I call them the stubborn ones, that only about recognize, this brief period of the OT, and they want to see more stuff like that. So I think it's just a more of a matter of inconsistent writing, and just in general, Lucasfilm not knowing where they want to go with the franchise. It's not necessarily they're pumping out so much Star Wars content that's burning everyone out.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I can't speak for like the Star Wars franchise, because, like, Brandon, you said you're not a huge Marvel fan. But for me, it's Star Wars. I have seen the original trilogy a long time ago. I've never seen the complete prequel trilogy, but what I'm getting at here is, uh, first, let me start with Marvel real quick. For me, the series ended with Endgame, because we had a clear story beginning with 2008's Iron Man, and it wrapped up with Endgame. And so everything else that had followed, by that point, yeah, I had the superhero fatigue, and it's like, okay, we wrapped up the story. They live happily ever after. And then it's like, okay, well, what more are you trying to tell? And I know they had the multiverse saga that they're working on, but the few movies that I've seen from post Endgame, I'm like, well, this doesn't have anything to do with the multiverse, so why call it the multiverse saga or feature these in a multiverse franchise? So for me, it just seemed like they weren't too clear on what direction they wanted to take it post Endgame. And then with Star Wars, you have the original trilogy that also had a clear beginning, middle, and end. The Empire was defeated, and then skip ahead to the sequel trilogy. It's like, okay, so now we have a new villain in town. I thought the Empire was defeated. And same with Marvel. Okay, well, Thanos was defeated, so what's the new threat now? So it just seems to me, when you wrap up the story, there just doesn't seem to be any room to take it anywhere else once it's already ended.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, and like in terms of Star Wars, like I again like personally sequels not my favorite, like not my favorite. Not that's all I'm gonna say, but for safety's sake. But I personally feel yeah the first order in the sequel trilogy was basically just Empire 2.0. Like, are you wait
Pretty
what? Where
much.
did these guys come from? Like, and me because the thing is in the at least I also read the Star Wars books, which are now I guess no longer considered canon. But what are you gonna do? But in
They
the
have
in the
canon
books,
books.
there are canon books. But I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of like legends, stuff that's no longer canon, there was a
Right.
host of other things that happened after the Empire was defeated. You had the well, I believe it was Han Solo's son, turning Sith, and trying to resurrect an order, an order of the Sith. And you also had an alien and a foreign alien race
Yuuzhan Vong.
yep, the Yuuzhan Vong
Yeah.
invading the galaxy. You had Lovecraftian stuff with Abeloth, the one of like the ancient, force users, who basically is considered this hole in the force that she calls out to people from the other side of the galaxy, and she's extremely powerful, and where Luke has to team up with a Sith Lord to defeat her. Like, there's a host of other stuff other stories to tell that isn't just space Nazis.
Right. Now, one thing I will say that Indiana Jones has an advantage over Marvel, Star Wars, etc., is that it is so squarely focused on one protagonist
Mm-hmm.
that there's not really as much of a danger of like not having the proper planning for a trilogy, like with what happened with the sequels,
Mm-hmm.
or not thinking through all of your multiverse stuff. Like, all of the Indiana Jones films are pretty standalone stories. So
Mm-hmm.
if you were to just do more of those, I don't think that would be as big of a problem. You would just you you got to bring it with the scripts, with the casting, with everything
Yeah.
else.
Honestly, a lot of the Indiana Jones stuff reminds me very much of like the old Sherlock Holmes novels. It reminds me of like the
Kind of,
Hardy
yeah.
Boys. There's stories that can be easily be told and exposited through the medium of film. Like, there's an infinite number of mysteries and stuff to solve. Like, not stuff like Atlantis notwithstanding.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen the Indiana Jones franchise in that same way that they're standalone movies, so you don't necessarily have to watch them in order to be able to
Right.
follow what's going on.
I mean,
And
Temple of Doom is technically a prequel.
Mm-hmm.
right, yeah, and usually when I watch them in order, it's usually in the order that they were released.
Right, me too.
So you don't lose anything watching them in order or out of order. It's
Yeah,
just you're there for the ride. You enjoy
Mm-hmm.
it.
exactly.
And I
Now,
kind of think also that that's where the advantage comes in, is that you're not focused on having to watch these movies in this order to understand what's going on in the next one. And I
right.
thought for Marvel, that's kind of, for me, it was kind of a drop off point, was that there's so many things going on now. In the movies leading up to the first Avengers, you could watch them in whatever order you wanted, and then watch the Avengers, and I thought that was really cool. And I think what made it stronger for me compared to some of the more later films leading up to Endgame is that it just seemed more simple. It wasn't
Right.
so many individual franchises trying to fit together into one big story. It was easier to follow, and they didn't have so many TV series or uh, additional material that you had to watch in order to understand what was going on in the next movie.
I think the
Yeah.
early days of Disney Plus sort of put too much on Marvel, where Chapek, when he came in, and his subordinates, they wanted as much content on Disney Plus as possible.
Right. I
So
remember
Marvel,
hearing that.
so Marvel at one point was cranking out like 4 series a year,
It was
Yeah.
and
insane.
if you like, if you want Kevin Feige to pay attention to everything, it's just not sustainable. And
Mm-hmm.
now I think you have seen a bit of a slowdown, and I mean, things aren't perfect now, but I think they're getting back on track. I mean, Thunderbolts was really good, although it did suffer at the box office, I think, because of the sort of mixed reception to Captain America Brave New World, and people are kind of like, MCU's not a sure thing right now. Although Fantastic Four is looking really good. I hope that people are hyped for it and turn out to see it.
Please give us a good Fantastic Four movie.
I think they will. I think they will. I have confidence in them.
Fan Four stick burned me, man. Burned me hard.
Different people, different studio.
And honestly, just give me a film that gives me that gives me a good Doctor Doom, please. Like something that gives us close to comic Doctor Doom.
We are hopefully getting that with Doomsday. We'll see. We'll see.
So
Although,
I just have to ask. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah,
that's good.
Did you want to? Were you gonna add something else?
Oh, well, you go first.
Okay. Thank you. So I just have to ask, what do you think of Robert Downey Jr. returning as Doctor Doom?
It's intriguing.
I don't know.
I know a lot of people are worried that it's basically going to be, oh, what? Tony Stark is Doctor Doom now? I don't think they're going to do that. I mean, Kevin Feige knows not to rock the boat too hard. So I think it is gonna be Victor Von Doom, and I think it'll be like a bait and switch of like, oh, are you like an alternate Tony? Who's Tony?
I'm fairly hopeful, especially because knowing who Victor Von Doom is. Victor Von Doom is petty. He is like.
Yeah.
He lives to spite Reed Richards. And I see a lot of, Robert Downey Jr.'s interpretation of Tony Stark in Victor Von Doom. Like Doom would blow up the planet just to own Reed Richards, basically. So I can see the potential for that. But also, the thing is though, Doom needs to be competent. Like you can't just turn Doom into a Saturday morning cartoon villain. Like Doom is smart. He plans everything. Every single time the Fantastic Four think they got Doom, it's a freaking Doom bot. It's a clone. So because Doom plans for everything. His armor is has magic imbued into it. Like. It's insane how OP in the comics, at least Doctor Doom really is.
Now, because they clearly want him to be the Thanos going forward, so I am guessing that we'll be fine in that department. I mean, Doom's probably going to win.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then Secret Wars is going to be picking up the pieces from that.
But an Infinity War and Endgame.
Exactly.
And honestly, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that some people might worry about it being Robert Downey Jr. because they think, oh, he's just going to do what he does in Iron Man. But Robert Downey Jr. is a great actor.
He is.
He, of course, put himself into Tony Stark quite a bit. But he's got plenty of other movies where he's not just playing like a version of himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like compare like Iron Man to Sherlock Holmes.
Or like Chaplin, or
Yeah.
even to Oppenheimer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
But
I'm
yeah,
I'm not I'm not opposed to Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom, but what I hope they don't do is just make him a Tony Stark variant, like do
yeah,
Yeah,
like
of course
a
not.
multiverse. That's where
it's
I
a
don't
fear that a
like
lot of
it.
people have.
And that's the thing I love about at least Thanos. Because when you look at when you see Thanos and you understand when you learn about what his goals are and his philosophy, the best kind of villains are the villains that not only have good intentions but kind of make sense. Like when Thanos talks about how on his own planet there weren't enough mouths to feed. He doesn't just Thanos didn't want to just kill off half a life just because it's evil. It's because he truly thinks that it's the right thing to do. I see a lot of that in Doctor Doom as well, because in the comics, at least in the cartoons, Doctor Doom is the head of his own country, Latveria, and at least in the comics and in the TV shows, he tries to take over the world not because it's evil, he's evil, but because he truly feels that he's the only one who can rule the world and give the world a society without pain or war or conflict. And there are some parts in the comics where even like the Panther God of Wakanda agree. They say like Doom would be a good emperor of the world, and so I feel that if Marvel wants to be brave and try to play with that idea of if they want to pull a Thanos with Doom and be like, maybe this guy's got a point, if they're
But I
gonna
think
try to be
they're
brave.
I would like that if they do it like kind of as a bait and switch, because the thing with Thanos is he might be well intentioned in his mind, but there's an
Mm-hmm.
arrogance to him. Like
Absolute, and there's
if
an
he
arrogance to Doom.
yeah, like if Thanos got the Infinity Stones, he could have easily just created enough food to feed everyone, but he wanted to be right. He wanted to
Yep.
prove that only he could do this and only he knew what he was doing. So if he found out that, like, yeah, you could just grow all the food to feed everyone on your planet, I think he'd still say, nope, not the way we're doing it. And
Yeah.
Doom is kind of the same way. And
Mm-hmm.
I want them to showcase that, like, well-intentioned narcissism, if that's not an oxymoron.
Oh, I totally understand that.
Yeah, and for me, it's going, and this is the kind of the issue that I have with the multiverse in general is that I think it's kind of being used as a way to bring back previous characters.
Yeah,
Kind of like
I
a
Oh,
mean,
gimmick, sort
absolutely.
of. And if you do that with Doctor Doom, I don't think you're really going to be getting the true Doom that you could have if you were to make him his own character and not bring him back as a variant, or have like this is a rumor that I did hear, is that the Doctor Doom in Doomsday would not be the real Doctor Doom. He would just be like a weaker variant, and the real Doctor Doom would come in what was Secret Wars, is it? And
yeah,
that it
yeah.
would be played by a different actor.
Oh, like kind of like the the intergalactic council of reeds from the comics. Basically, how in the Marvel multiverse there are all the Reed Richards of the different universes got together and formed a council, and
Yeah.
each one of the at least the heads of the council, they each have their own completed Infinity Gauntlets.
Huh.
But they actually
Oh,
discover that the Infinity Gauntlet only works within its own universe. Outside of it, it's useless.
now Marvel, everyone at Marvel has got to hear the complaints that people have about how the multiverse has gone. I mean, my
Mm-hmm.
take on the multiverse is it's worked in individual movies like No Way Home, like
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine. I even kind of like Multiverse of Madness.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah, I think that movie, it started out kind of rough, but then it got better as it went along. But
Mhm.
if you're linking it all together into a franchise, it hasn't really played out the way that people have wanted it to.
Yeah, you're just
So,
begging for convolution.
yeah. And I see, like, I think even if Jonathan Majors hadn't gotten into trouble, we still would have seen a change from their original plan with Kang, and we would have seen something like this happen anyway, where it seems like they are desperately trying to wrap up what they've done with the multiverse, and I think that once Secret Wars rolls around, we're going to be seeing some culling. There's going to be a lot of characters that we're not going to see anymore after Phase 6 or whatever.
Yeah, and in regards to the multiverse in individual films like No Way Home, I thought it worked really well.
Yeah,
I think it works better in an individual film than it does over the span of 6, 7, 8, 9 movies, however
it's
many.
like time travel in Star Trek. Works
Yeah.
in individual entries, but you don't want to make a whole series of it.
So I mean, and I think Pierce, if you remember, we did a video on time travel and the multiverse,
Yes,
which
absolutely.
I do want to follow up with that. And Brandon, I want you to join us on that one too.
Sure.
I did mention, I think I mentioned in there, if you remember the Fairly Odd Parents channel chasers, which was
Yes.
essentially like a multiversal story. Only
Yeah.
instead of different universes, you're going into the different
Yeah.
TV channels. And that was, on TV, it was like an hour. So pretty much without commercials, you're looking at something that's like 45 minutes, give or take. I mean,
Yeah.
if you can do a multiversal film in just 45 minutes, then I mean, look at No Way Home. That's probably like 2 hours right there. And it works. But I just don't think it works as a saga that's lasts X amount of
At least
years.
it hasn't.
Yeah. But just from how I how I can see it, I think it just works better as a standalone film. But
It's
who
worked
knows? Maybe they
sometimes.
could.
Yeah.
Also, on a side note, Fairly Odd Parents Channel Chasers is still my definitive headcanon on how the series should have ended. In my opinion, Channel Chasers is the series finale for Fairly Odd Parents. Don't at me.
Hey, look, just say that it's canonically the last one, but then everything else is a prequel.
just like how the SpongeBob Broadway musical is the definitive ending finale for the first SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh, see, I'm more old school than that. I say the first movie.
The first movie, ooh,
Yes.
yeah. The musical kind of the Broadway musical kind of touches on the first is basically the first movie, very similar.
Oh,
Except
I haven't seen the
instead
musical.
of it's really good. Highly recommend
That's what I've
watching it.
heard.
The pro shot. Except it's just instead of King Neptune kidnapping Mr. Krabs and holding him hostage, it's a volcano that threatens to destroy all of Bikini Bottom.
Oh, okay.
Same premise though.
Yeah.
At the end, SpongeBob, becomes a man. He becomes the manager of the Krusty Krab. He fulfills his goal. He's happy. Everyone's happy.
Yeah. And I say my opinion as someone who is not a like post-movie SpongeBob hater. I think there's still some good stuff after. I like the second movie.
I never did
Third
see the
movie,
second.
not so much.
Same. Never seen it.
The second one where everyone knows it as the one where they turn into superheroes. But that's only like the last maybe 30 minutes. There's a lot more to it than that.
See, I've always found it interesting, and maybe even the first film as its own standalone installment in the SpongeBob franchise. One, King Neptune is a different King Neptune than we've seen in the previous episodes. Like when there's the cook-off between him
Oh,
and
yeah.
SpongeBob.
Like in the first season, I think, or second, like first or second season, something like that.
Yeah, and
that
outside the
Neptune-
movie, outside
You-
the movie, the King Neptune has always been that same kind of like Greek god kind of King
Yeah.
Neptune versus the movie version. And there's in the episodes following the first movie, there's never a Krusty Krab 2.
Right. You could square the circle with the Neptunes by saying that the
Multiverse.
Neptune I square the circle as being like No, I'm not doing that with SpongeBob. But the way I do it is the Neptune that you see in the show is a deity, and then the king that you
Ah,
see in the movie is it would be like let's say
Avatar.
that could be, but let's also say let's say that some ancient Greek king got named by his parents after Zeus. It could just be a
oh,
way to honor or one up a god, depending on how you look at it.
that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah,
Yeah.
that does make sense.
I
Why
mean,
have like
who
two King Neptunes, but two
yeah.
individual?
I mean, in real life, we had Gigi Allen, birth name Jesus Christ Allen. It's not
Yep.
crazy to
Oh,
think.
Gigi.
Now, uh, so like with all of these multiverse projects, or not just multiverse projects, but everything that Disney, and I'm not trying to throw shade at Disney, that's the studio in
Yeah.
the discussion. With Star Wars, they took the original and well in the prequel series also, and they expanded on that. Uh, do you think that the same can be said for Indiana Jones, or would expanding on it kind of veer into young Indiana Jones, whether they want to cast a young actor to show Indiana Jones' childhood or young adult years, or do you think right now the franchise should just be left alone? We've had his last his last hurrah, kind of like his ride out into the sunset. Or do you think we need to revisit that and fill in fill in any blanks? Like, oh, this is what happened between uh Last Crusade and Crystal Skull, or what are your thoughts? I think personally that the franchise is good the way it is. All five films, and I don't really see any need to produce any more, whether it's will probably be a like a prequel series or any kind of spin-offs on any other characters. But what are your thoughts?
You go first, Brandon.
Well, I mean, I feel that in this day and age of, movies of all these old classic franchises that we've seen get rebooted, I've seen a notable difference between the ones that just try to continue ad nauseum the way they are versus the ones that give us a good passing the torch moment. Like we saw the passing of the torch in like the Star Trek the newer Star Trek films in Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters Afterlife gave us a good passing the torch moment where we did see Bill Murray and Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd in there, and it definitely opened up the stage for a new potential spin-off series with, the I guess you can say the blessing of the originals, basically. I feel that I don't know. Like Indiana Jones could go the way of James Bond and just give us a new indie. However, I know that with all the popularity of with Kei Kwan who played Short Round in Temple of Doom, his recent Academy Award win, I feel he really has potential in the future to at least potentially do more for the Indiana Jones franchise, because he personally, worked alongside Jones in Temple of Doom. I personally feel he would be a pretty decent step up for Indiana Jones if Jones ever felt the need to, to pass the torch on to Short Round.
Love that
Maybe he could
guy.
give him Indy could just give him the hat. And also, can we talk about briefly how incredible it was when Kei Kwan told, I don't know if you've heard the story that he told, but um at the Academy Awards, he walked up to Harrison Ford, and Ford immediately recognized him, and he's like, Short Round?
I
You've
love
grown.
it.
Like it was so wholesome. Like how Harrison Ford immediately recognized him from the film after, like it was like 40 plus years after the fact.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, go first.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that they could even do a say maybe not an entire series, but at least a movie of Short Round, kind of like following him. Like, okay, this is where he's been since Temple of Doom, and a series like that doesn't necessarily have to follow the events of Dial of Destiny, but we could just see, that separate franchise. Like, okay, while Indy was out doing this, this is what Short Round was doing.
That's possible. I'm thinking, like, if you were to do one with Ki Hai Kwan now, you'd probably set it in, like, the 70s, 80s. There's some interesting stuff going on in East Asia at that time. Um, my thing with Indiana Jones is I want it to always be a period piece. I don't want to do a modern reboot of Indiana Jones because it just doesn't
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So whatever time period they want to play in that lines up with Indy being alive and able to do what he does, I'm fine with it. I think it would be interesting to see Indy in World War II, or even like Indy in the Roaring Twenties. That could be fun.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, kind of like turning like kind of like going the James Bond route, but maybe like having like different interpretations of Indiana Jones throughout the times almost.
yeah,
Like
you
kind
could
of
do that.
like almost like a proverbial Robin Hood kind of.
I wouldn't even mind if they wanted to go back to the Cold War. I know that Crystal Skull kind of goes over like a lead balloon,
Mm-hmm.
but there was potential there.
Yeah.
But as far as rebooting the franchise now, I'm not opposed to a reboot down the line, but I do think it needs a bit of a break. I
Mm-hmm.
think that I actually did kind of like Dial of Destiny. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, but I wish they did more with the time travel. But because it didn't do great in theaters, I think that they might, from what I hear, Disney might be thinking like, oh, we've got to redeem ourselves with this, Disney and Lucasfilm. And I think you've got to let it sit for a little bit, let people sort of rediscover Dial of Destiny, because people are watching it on streaming now, and just be like, oh, that was fun, or didn't really care for that, but whatever, I've got the originals. And just really take your time with developing something rather than rushing into it.
And for any kind of reboot, should it be part an extension of the original series, or just start it over from scratch? Like, forget uh, Temple of Doom, forget Last Crusade, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and just have an entirely new take. Uh, Still set in a period as a period film, but should any remakes or reboots be within the series itself, or just rebooted into something completely original?
My preference would be like a pre-Craig Bond take on it, where it's like, okay, broad strokes, these things happened, but we're not gonna like do constant callbacks to it. That's another chapter in Indy's story, and we're just gonna tell the story that we're telling right now. Just my preference.
I'm here for that.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want to see the series be rebooted as a separate franchise. I
Yeah,
don't know if I want to see any more installations in the franchise we have now, because I think it's fine as it is. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be told. I mean, yeah, there's potential for that, but I don't know, maybe not as a movie, maybe as like a series.
maybe.
I'm not sure. I think for me, I'll just have to wait and see if the rumors are even true, what their plans
Right.
are moving forward, and I can kind of make my decision based on that. But overall, I don't want to see a completely rebooted series unrelated to the franchise, but at the same time, don't want to see any more added to the franchise. So for me, it's kind of like the MCU. You know, it ended with Endgame. Just leave it as that. But instead, they're kind of fitting more into it as they say, you know, trying to fill a cup that's already filled. Um,
It
right
would
now,
certainly
at
be
least that's my thought.
it would be weird to have a sequel to Dial of Destiny. I don't think you can do that.
Yeah,
Um,
even if it
we
was focused on other characters,
yeah, we don't want to see 90-year-old Indy. I'm sorry, but something in between or even before everything else. Like, I'm not saying go like the full young Indiana Jones, but maybe Indiana Jones when he's like 23. Why not?
it's like a pre Temple of Doom.
What led
Yeah,
him to Club Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
sure, why not? Again, crazy stuff going on in China in the 30s. There's a lot of potential there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and see for me also, with like prequels is, and this is kind of what I had with the Star Wars prequels, that, or at least for me, back then, looking at the prequels was more of like a backstory to Darth Vader, and my thought was, well, is that even necessary? Because everything that we need to know about all these characters is already there in A New Hope. Otherwise, we would have started back here instead of where A New Hope starts. It gives you just enough information to know, okay, this is who these characters are, this is what's going on. So for me, that was enough, and the the backstories of Darth Vader wasn't necessary. I mean, people are gonna have their uh own thoughts on that, and you probably have thoughts that differ from what I'm saying right now, but just from my perspective, I don't know if I want to see something about Indiana Jones, his backstory, because what we know from the movies, that's for me all we need to know. But I guess if
Right.
it's compelling, it's interesting, then yeah, it would be probably would be something fun and exciting to watch.
Well, I would say that no prequel is strictly necessary, but that doesn't mean they couldn't be good anyway. Like, I don't know if you guys are plugged into horror movies much, but did I need the first Omen? No, but I'm glad that it came out. It's a great movie.
Yeah, and also, they're like, I guess it also depends because to parallel your Star Wars statement, Jonathan, like I agree. Like, it's I personally feel that way about Darth Maul. Maul's story has been told. Like, we know exactly what happens. Like, and I feel Rebels it was probably the best way they ever could have sent him off. They
Agreed.
told his story. He's a well-rounded character now, which is why I was so shocked when they, spoiler alert, put him in at the very end of Solo. Like, okay,
Granted, that is set before Rebels.
it is, but but obviously we have an idea of what's going to happen. So
Well, yeah.
to his character, and also unpopular opinions, same thing with Darth Vader. Vader's story has, for the most part, already been told. We know exactly what's going to happen to Vader from here on out. So there's a host of other characters in that universe that we don't know about. Would love
Oh,
to know
yeah.
more. Plagueis.
I think
But yeah,
Plagueis would be cool.
I feel but I do feel the same. I do feel very similar about Indiana Jones. Like, I feel for the most part, at least from here on out, Indy's story has mostly been told. He's retired.
He's an old man. Let him be retired.
Let him rest.
Yeah. We can't all be Warren Buffett and retire at 95.
Yeah, I think right now, I think you mentioned this, Pierce, that they could do other movies, whether they're spin-offs or reboots, but at least for the time being, let's just let the franchise kind of air out, let
Yeah,
not jump into it so fast.
just give it some time. Come back to it when you've got something.
Yeah, so I think we're coming up on an hour here.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it up here. Is there any other thoughts you want to share on rebooting Indiana Jones or just reboots in general?
Not really. Mostly just I'm wondering what the heck Disney's gonna do at Animal Kingdom with their when Indiana Jones takes over a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Are they
Oh,
gonna? Yeah.
I
Are
kind
they
of.
gonna?
They're not going to do it, but I kind of wish they'd combine Indy with dinosaurs. Because why not?
Yeah, like
He's been back in time.
I just wonder, are they going to just clone Temple of the Forbidden Eye over here at Disneyland? Are they gonna give us something more like Crystal Skull, Temple of the Crystal Skull over at Tokyo Disney Sea? Or are they gonna give us something new? I don't know.
Same ride system. They can do whatever they want within those parameters. I mean,
Yep.
personally, I would not mind Temple of the Forbidden Eye. It's my favorite ride. Although we'll see what happens.
So
They'd probably
I'm
make
not
it
familiar.
Yeah,
They'd probably
I'm
make
not
it more South American themed, just for
possibly.
that part of the park.
Oh, so Crystal Skull, the movie was set in South
Oh yeah,
America. And I was gonna ask you, Brandon, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
familiar with this did you say Temple of the Crystal Skull?
Yeah, so
that's in
that one's
Tokyo.
that's in Tokyo
Is
Disney Sea. It's
is
basically
that based on the ride? Or on the
N-
movie?
no,
No, it
the
came
ride
out
came
before.
first.
Oh.
It opened with the park in 2001, I believe, and it's almost the exact same as Temple of the Forbidden Eye, except instead of the deity Mara, the main antagonist is a sentient crystal skull that is responsible for all the chaos and destruction in the temple that's happening around you.
Oh,
It is the
I did
same.
not know that.
It is, at least in aesthetics, the same Crystal Skull as the movie, though.
Yeah,
So,
Okay, yeah.
but no aliens.
no aliens. We can put that to bed for now, I think.
Yeah, and I would like to hear your opinions on Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny, but I would like to save that for another video that would be just around Indiana Jones, not about rebooting the series, but just celebrating Indiana
Sounds
Jones.
fair to me.
Kind
There
of
is a lot
go
to
over
celebrate.
the movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think I have an adventure hat or something I'll wear.
Good.
I'll come all decked out in my adventure garb.
Oh, if only I had some.
What do we got here, guys?
Perfect. Love it.
Yep, this is my old hat. It's a Stetson, so
Yeah. Now,
See, I had one from Disneyland from back in the day, but of course it doesn't fit anymore. So I
this
haven't had
one,
that hat in a long time.
yeah, you can kind of see her right here. She's an like old school like Stetson from like the '90s when Disney still sold like good quality products.
Was that
Who?
from Disneyland?
I don't know. This was I think I got this on an eBay auction back in like 2000. I want to say 2006, 2004, 2005.
Oh, wow.
So it's incredible. It's an incredible quality hat. So
Yeah, that's nice.
so I don't know if this was ever either sold in the park or if it was a special edition available only from Stetson. But I don't know.
Well, that's cool. So I don't have a fedora. I think I might still have a cowboy hat. One that kind of looks like
Works.
a sailor hat. And but sailor hat, I mean, like if you see Dwayne Johnson's character in Jungle Cruise, that kind of
Oh,
hat he's
yeah.
wearing, a hat kind of like that.
Okay.
Think of Indiana Jones in a cowboy hat, a
Oh my God.
Western Indiana Jones.
We've seen him ride horses.
Yes, we
Yeah.
have. We got a little bit of that. Why not more?
Yeah, I'm thinking, what's like what's like a relic from the Old West that he could go after?
Oh. There's
I
gold
mean,
in them hills.
gold. I mean, heck,
Aztec gold.
I don't know
Why
how
not?
familiar you guys are with the Alone in the Dark video game series.
Not much.
But in the third game, your main character, the detective Edward Carnby, goes to this movie set out in the Mojave Desert, where there's supposedly where the film crew disappeared. That's the original mystery. But along the way, he discovers that there's some secret powerful green ore underneath hidden underneath in deposits underneath the mountain back there or underneath the town, and this ore can be used to control people and put them in a trance, almost like kryptonite basically. And if activated, it can basically cause an entire earthquake to shatter the San Andreas Fault and basically bury California underwater basically.
Lucasfilm, if you hear
Are you
this,
listening?
keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. You got gold here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Yeah, so hey, we'll make our own Indiana Jones film.
All right.
Brandon, you've got
Oh,
the
yeah.
hat.
Let's do it. I got the jacket too. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't have an Indiana Jones jacket, but I do have a brown jacket that
I
kind of
got
has
a
like
I got a
the
bomber
fur
somewhere
around
somewhere in my closet.
around the neck. You know, you can let me borrow the hat, and I'll be Indiana John.
You
Oh,
got
yeah,
it.
perfect.
I mean, this
I
hat's
had to throw that in their little play on names.
this hat is a little too small for me anyway. It's a 7 1/4, so it's a little too small for my head.
That might actually fit me.
Hell, all right.
Sorry, my phone's going off.
You're good.
Nah, you're good.
Oh, yeah. Donations.
Yeah, so some pretty cool insights on reboots,
I think we got some good
Indiana
stuff.
Jones, and just reboots in general. So, everybody out there watching, thank you for tuning in, and be sure to like and subscribe for more content. I would like to do a follow-up on the multiverse and time travel video, and a video just dedicated to Indiana Jones and talking about our favorite scenes, favorite movies. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Right up my
And
alley.
we could even do, I've thought of doing this also, is doing a lunch video so that
Oh, yeah.
we'll just
Why
like,
not?
hey, today I have a sandwich, today I have pasta or whatever, and have like
All
a
right.
virtual lunch slash
The lunch hour.
yeah.
You're listening to the lunch hour with Jonathan, Pierce, and Brandon.
we got our announcer here. Can
Here
do
we
the
go.
announcer voice. Okay, so thank you everybody for watching, and be sure to tune in next time for some more fun pop culture and discussions on just whatever topics are of interest. We'll see you next time. Thank you.